In my town, when the forest goes quiet, you don't go outside. No wind, no insects, no animals. That's when something is close. I live alone miles from the nearest neighbor, in a house older than most of the trees around it. And every night, every single night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., the basement light turns on by itself. I tried ignoring it. I tried cutting the power. I tried leaving. But when the forest stopped making sound and the light turned on early, I realized the house wasn't the problem. Something from the woods had finally found its way inside. I live in a small town most people don't know exists. If you blink while driving through, you'll miss it. One gas station, a diner that closes before sunset, a handful of houses scattered along a road that dissolves into forest. The woods here aren't like the ones you see in postcards. They don't feel peaceful. They loom. Thick trunks packed too tightly together. No clear paths, no light once the sun goes down. People here don't hike. They don't camp. And they don't go into the forest after dark. I didn't grow up here. I moved in 6 months ago, looking for quiet. Cheap rent, isolation. I got all three. The house I live in sits at the edge of the tree line, like it was placed there reluctantly. Built decades ago, long before anyone cared about safety codes or common sense. The basement was already there when I moved in. The landlord didn't mention it. I found it myself on the first day, behind a door in the hallway that didn't quite line up with the walls around it. The stairs descended steeply, the air colder with every step, smelling of damp earth and rust. I didn't like it, but I needed the space. The first time the basement light turned on by itself, I laughed. It was late, around 2 in the morning. I was half asleep on the couch when I noticed the glow creeping across the floor. I assumed I'd left it on. I went down, turned it off, and didn't think about it again. The second night, it happened again. Same time, same glow. That's when I checked the clock. 2:17 a.m. Something about the precision bothered me. By the fourth night, it felt deliberate. I started noticing other things. The forest, for one. Every night around the same time, the sounds outside would die. No crickets, no owls, no wind in the branches. Silence so deep it pressed against my ears. And then, click. Basement light on. I began waking up before it happened. At 2:16, my eyes would snap open like I'd been shaken. Heart racing, skin cold, waiting. The light never failed. I tried logic. Old wiring, faulty switch. Power surges. I replaced the bulb. Didn't help. I replaced the switch. Didn't help. I shut off the breaker to the basement entirely. I stood in the dark hallway, breaker flipped, listening to the forest outside. At 2:17 a.m., the basement light turned on anyway. Brighter. The glow reached the top of the stairs. That was when I noticed the footprints. They weren't always there. But some mornings when the basement light had stayed on longer than usual, faint muddy prints appeared near the bottom step. Bare feet. Too long. The dirt smelled like the forest. I asked the locals about it. They avoided eye contact. One man at the diner told me, "Lights don't mean electricity around here." When I pressed him, he paid his bill and left. That night I installed cameras. One in the basement, one in the hallway, one facing the tree line outside. The forest camera was the first to trigger. At 2:12 a.m., motion detected. I checked the feed. Nothing moved, but the trees were wrong. They leaned inward. Branches tangled like fingers, and the darkness between them felt deeper than it should have. Then the forest went silent. The basement light turned on early. The basement camera flickered. The light came on, steady and harsh. At first, there was nothing. Then something stepped into frame. It wasn't human. It was tall. Too tall for the ceiling. Its back hunched unnaturally, limbs long and thin, joints bending at the wrong angles. Its skin looked like bark, cracked, dark, wet. It didn't walk. It unfolded itself up the stairs. The shadow it cast crawled faster than it did. The hallway camera triggered. The basement door handle turned. Slowly, deliberately. I could hear it breathing through the walls. Wet, deep. like air moving through leaves. My phone buzzed. The forest camera turned black. Not cut, blackened, like something pressed itself against the lens. A voice came from the basement. Not loud, not threatening, curious. I ran to the front door. The locks slid shut before I touched them. The house groaned, wood bending, as if it were settling into a new shape. The basement light flared. The thing started climbing again. Each step echoed through the house, heavy and wet. I realized then the house wasn't haunted. It was occupied, borrowed. The forest outside began to move. Not wind, not animals. Something large passed between the trees, blocking what little moonlight there was. The voice spoke again, closer now. I hid in the bedroom. The camera feed distorted as the thing stood outside my door. Its head brushed the ceiling. Its face, if it had one, was split by something that might have been a mouth. Inside, light pulsed. The basement light, the heartbeat of the house. The thing leaned down. Its voice changed. It sounded like me. You turned it on. The doorknob turned. They say the house is empty now. No one lives there. But sometimes when the forest goes quiet, a light glows beneath the ground at exactly 2:17 a.m. And if you're driving past the tree line and you see it, don't stop, because whatever followed the light inside is still learning how to come out.